Friday's Just Baseball Show, August 30th. Jack and Peter. I'm mad at Peter. We're going to get into that off the top, but we have a whale of a topic today. We're talking about the World Series. We're talking about who's going to win the World Series, and we are ranking our 10 World Series favorites. Who do we think is going to win the World Series? Who is the most likely? Who is the eighth most likely? Find out with us. We're going to compare them to odds from BetMGM. Also have hitters of the week and games of the weekend. I'm going to hold why I'm mad at you until after you do the MGM read. So go ahead and do the MGM read.
Well, I'm already a little bit nervous, but BetMGM, the king of sports books. You got to download it on iOS or Android and use code JUSTBASEBALL. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if it loses. So, place a wager on BetMGM after using code JUSTBASEBALL. If it loses, you'll get that amount back up to $1,500. If it wins, congratulations, you won a bet. And now is a good opportunity to potentially use that first bet offer on a World Series winner. So if we go through the odds provided by BetMGM, we have different lists than the odds that they provided. If you like one of our takes, consider placing that on BetMGM. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. I'm not using as many I'm losing kind of jokes in this ad read anymore. 10-4 MLB run, just saying.
Nice.
Just
Look
don't let
at
the
you.
kid get hot.
That's kind of why I'm mad at you. And no, I'm not mad at you because I sent you the Zoom link at 2:30 and you joined at 2:33. That was a joke, but
That is my bad.
I had a doubleheader last night in Indy, and Indian split. How about it? Um, Bubba Chandler looked good. I come back and I pump out the quote cards that go on Instagram and Twitter the next day, and
Oh,
I
so
spent
mad at me.
I spent some serious time and put some energy into a fun, creative quote card that was pro Peter,
Oh,
and it gets left on the cutting room floor. And for the YouTube crowd, the quote reads, "When Peter deploys units, I know I may be in trouble." End quote. Cows and lobsters on being eaten. And it's a photo of a cow and a lobster. And I went as far as to Google Wagyu cow. That's a cow that Wagyu beef comes from. It's not your normal cookie cutter cow. I put in serious work to make you feel good, and you didn't post it anywhere.
you're right. I would be mad at me too. I don't got anything wrong. You are right. I don't know why I didn't put it in. I almost thought I laughed at the joke and I just then moved on, went with our standard quote cards. And the quote cards always do better on our Instagram. Follow it, by the way, if you haven't already, at Just Baseball Show. Your funny quote cards always hit, but for whatever reason, I just left it on the side. So you deserve to be mad at me. I wish I could come back and be like, well, no, it's because of this reason. Nope, I got nothing.
Just go ahead and use it on, like, use it as a meme when you hit another future or something like
I
that.
need to hit some more bets and then I'm going to deploy it. That will be posted on our Instagram. I promise.
Okay.
That was funny. And you're right,
Perfect.
too.
It's not often that I feel really good about a joke I make. Usually I'm like, this is going to suck. This is going to fall flat on its face. And that one, the immediate response I was like, this is good. I'm feeling really hot right now. And I went to bed feeling awesome. And then I woke up and I doom scrolled for 20 minutes because that's what normal people do when they wake up, right? The first thing they do is go on Instagram. And I didn't see it. And I was like, wow, my day's off to a shit start. So, hey, appreciate that, man.
And speaking about MLB futures, we hit another one last night that was given out on this show. All three of us were aligned on the pick. The Oakland A's had the lowest win total in MLB history upcoming this season after going 50 and 112. And we said on this podcast, do not sleep on the A's again. This team is young, they're hungry, and they have a lot of players that maybe you haven't heard of, but can emerge this season. They notched their 58th win on Wednesday, August 28th, with 5 weeks left of the season. So congrats to the Oakland A's. Congrats all who tailed from the show, and congrats to us. Congrats to us. A nice
I'm
little pat on
watching
the back.
right before this, right before we recorded, I was watching Jack Kahanowitz throw in Detroit. And I was like, I know they're close. And I pull up the standings to remind myself because it's not often you look at the cellar of the American League West, but I remembered that the LA Angels are in a worse position record wise than the Oakland A's.
We
And
talked about that.
I
We talked
know,
about
dude,
that
like,
the Angels could probably finish last when we first did
and
our win total predictions.
Neto went 2020 on
Mhm.
Thursday, which is awesome. They have a bright young shortstop, but the rest of that team, dude, I mean, come on. And I like watching Kahanowitz. Is he a two-pitch guy? Yes. But is that sinker 96, 97 and like heavy? Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. It's
it does.
fascinating to me. So like they've got some stuff going on. They're in a far worse position than I think the Oakland A's are, and that's saying something. That's really saying something. But credit to the Oakland A's for I don't know, like finding the abyss last year and this year with all of the anti-ownership rhetoric and the relocation rhetoric. The fact that they've still won 58 games on August 28th is a testament to the guys that are on field. And they've
Exactly.
done a pretty damn good job this year, given the circumstances. That's not one of the better rosters in Major League Baseball by any stretch. That's not a top 25 roster in Major League Baseball. But you have to play the games, and they've won 58 of those games.
I'm so glad you said that because they might be one of the few teams in baseball where all of the praise, all 100% of it, should be on the players on the field.
Yeah.
I'm not giving any of the praise to the front office, and I'm certainly not giving any praise to the ownership group at
No,
all. So
no
that is
doubt.
all about the guys on the field. Guy like Lawrence Butler has been heating up. Brent Rooker has just had an amazing season. You even see Zach Geloff fall off a little bit. Guys have just
A
taken
lot
his
of bit.
place.
Yeah.
Good young pitchers in that rotation. We talked about Joey S's yesterday. How about Osvaldo Bido turning in another sick outing? Just keeps
Crazy.
churning them out. And of course, Mason Miller in that back end. And they traded guys like Lucas Urseg, who's
Yeah.
going to be a huge, not going to be, is a huge addition for the Kansas City Royals. And that could transition us right into our top 10 teams, depending on if you have the Royals in your top 10.
I do. Spoiler alert. Before that, remember what I said about Spencer Arrighetti and him not being in the postseason rotation, like not sniffing it
Oh,
yesterday?
yeah, no, I remember.
It was perfect timing. Watched him no hit through what 7. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to after this doubleheader's over. I'm gonna have to go home. I'm gonna sit down, record like like an audio intro to the podcast. It's like, hey, I sound like an absolute moron at about the 27-minute mark. Spencer Arrighetti threw a no hitter. I shit on him later this pod because we recorded before that start. But I wanted to give Arrighetti his flowers here. I know that he's been really strong over the last, what, probably month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Arrighetti, that was his best outing of his young career to this point. The rookie right-hander in Houston, it was 7 2/3 scoreless. He was through 7 no hit. He walked 4, but he K'd 11, and the pitch count was totally in check. I don't know if this guy's in the postseason rotation. I really don't know if this guy's in the postseason rotation because it's Verlander, it's Fromber, it's Hunter Brown, and we'll see what they do. I would assume the seniority card comes out for somebody. Having said that, he's a big piece of what the Houston Astros are doing moving forward in that rotation. Was shocked that they moved Bloss to Toronto, but Arrighetti is a piece in that Astros rotation moving forward where 4 to 6 weeks ago, I was sitting here like, man, Arrighetti might kind of stink, huh? Now he's turned a corner, and the pitch by pitch, like it's clear that this is good. It's not just he's hot right now. Like he might actually just be a good right-handed pitcher. Now, does good mean mid rotation? I don't know, but that guy being the 5 or the 4 if a guy gets hurt in that Astros rotation, I feel really good about. And oh, by the way, Jordan Alvarez had the third 3-homer game of his career.
Yeah, I don't mean to pile on your take about Arrighetti, but what I was trying to say yesterday was whether Arrighetti is a big piece in the playoff rotation or not, I don't think anybody truly knows right now. Like I could say, oh, after that start against the Phillies, like now he's definitely the 4 starter over Kikuchi. I don't even think Astros fans could say that. But what it is doing is it continues to elongate this playoff rotation. So it's not all on Verlander. It's not all on Framber that they can win game 3. They can win game 4. They can win game 5. And it doesn't have to be all on those guys. So I'm not saying Arrighetti comes in and is some sort of ace like we were kind of arguing about yesterday. It's no, he can win you games in a big spot. And with
So,
how good that offense is and the bullpen ticking up, you don't need him to be 6 inning shutout. You just need him to keep you in the game.
and that's where rotation depth comes to play,
Yes.
where Yusei Kikuchi goes out, has a 3-run second against him. Something happens in the postseason that does not happen in mid-August. If a guy allows 3 runs in the second inning, he might be done in the postseason. In the regular season, it's, oh, like he'll go try and salvage the start, and, we're playing from behind here. Houston will look for an opportunity to stop the bleeding. And they can go to somebody in that bullpen to get you out of the second. If there's a bunch of traffic and Kikuchi throws 29 pitches in that second inning, they turn to a guy to get the final out of the second. And then you go to Arrighetti for innings 3 through 7. And then you go Abreu for the 8th, Hader for the 9th. Come on. Like, that is where rotation depth comes to play. And I think Arrighetti can be a perfect example of that. If I'm not mistaken, that was Hunter Brown in the 2022 postseason, where Brown was the bridge man. I think Luis Garcia did it too in that 2022 postseason.
So, and we've seen the inevitable Thanos-led Astros just always get in there. So maybe Arrighetti is filling that role, potentially like Verlander, right? He ain't perfect. Saying his first postseason start, it doesn't go all that well. He only goes a few innings. Yep. You pencil in Arrighetti for the rest, and you hope that your offense can bang. They say they tie it up, new ball game. So that's how I view Arrighetti as like this swing man, but also if he keeps pitching like this, he might get it over Kikuchi as the 4th spot in the rotation. We don't know.
By the way, as we're recording, happy birthday, Hunter Brown. Happy belated by the time that you're listening to this. 26 years old on Thursday, August 29th.
He's younger than we are, damn it.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of crazy. Although you're an older 26. I'm like a mid 26 right now.
I turned 27 in December.
Who would have thought that the grizzled vet Jack would be the youngin' of the two of us?
I know.
Look at me. I've got gray hair everywhere. Can you see that on YouTube?
Can you see that on YouTube, folks? I can't.
Yeah, you can see that on the left
you
side.
You can see it a little bit.
Yeah,
that's just
totally
stress.
see that. That is totally stress. That's absolutely what that is. That's the lack of sleep. But now we can get to our top 10 World Series favorites. This is awesome. And what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one and compare to BetMGM odds.
Yep.
We have the top 10. There are, frankly, 11 because there are 2 in the 10 spot that have like the 10th best odds. There's a share at plus 1,800. But what we're going to do is I'm going to give you my top World Series contender. Peter's going to give you his top World Series contender. And then we're going to give you MGM's top World Series contender. Then I'm going to give you number 2. Then Peter's going to give you number 2. Then we're going to give you MGM's number 2. And we're going to go like that.
Perfect. And just another reminder for everybody listening, like if you're new to gambling and you aren't really sure what the odds mean, I apologize to those people who do, but just for anybody who doesn't, odds, what we're talking about are the betting odds. So let's say for round number sake, you want to place $10 on whatever team you like at plus 1,000. So that'd be $10 to win $100. So that's what's called a long shot play. And all of these odds are represented in probabilities. So for example, a 5% implied probability, that's what the books think your chances of winning the World Series. That might be represented in a plus 2,000 line, right? So that's what it means. So with the Dodgers at plus 300, they might say, we think there's about a 30% chance of them winning the World Series versus, let's say, the Oakland A's at a 0.001. They'd be plus a trillion or something like that. So that's how to relate to the odds. So when we're saying that we're ranking them by the odds, we are looking at the people who make money based off other people's wrong predictions. They normally have a good gauge on this, and they use the odds in terms of probabilities. So that's what we're looking at, how BetMGM ranks the top 10 based on the probability that BetMGM thinks they're going to win the World Series.
Okay, so you just taught me something. I had no idea that that's what like the implied probability set the odds. I thought you just threw an arbitrary number on it because it felt right.
No.
So that totally helps. Yeah, and like I don't bet on baseball. I frankly use it as a tool to help analyze a situation.
Yeah.
Where like, and we've been doing this in football for a long time. I grew up and my dad was like, "Hey, what's the point spread on this NFL game? What's the point spread on this college football game?" you understood it. Like that was the easy way for me to understand it. Hey, Ohio State's a 14.5 point favorite over Michigan State today. Like that's how I understood it, where it's, oh, Ohio State is a 2 touchdown favorite. Smart people think that they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. So the way that, I technically look at this is like, hey, the Dodgers are the odds on favorite to win the World Series. Do I agree with that? Do I think that they're the World Series favorite right now? Do I think that the, so and so has the fifth best chance of winning the World Series? I don't know. So that's what we got. I spoiled it. I'll give you MGM's odds first, and then we'll go to our guys. So the Dodgers have the shortest odds to win the World Series at plus 325. That's according to our friends at BetMGM. So the Dodgers are the World Series favorite at plus 325. The next team is plus 475. Peter, do you agree or disagree that it is the LA Dodgers?
I agree.
Okay.
I also had the Dodgers at number 1. Now, the rest of my list is not really going to match the odds, but I was doing some real thinking into this, and the Dodgers have been the heavy favorites by the books for basically the entire season. But the public sentiment really doesn't want to back them because what they remember is Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman going lifeless last year, how they sign all the big free agents. A lot of fans of other teams just straight up do not like them, just don't like the Dodgers, all the money that they've spent, their lackluster performances in playoffs of old. And whether Dodger fans like it or not, and I firmly disagree with this, Arm and I had the debate about the quote unquote, for all those watching on YouTube, seeing me use quotations, the Mickey Mouse World Series. Fans don't really give them credit for that one. They remember the shortfalls, and they know that they already don't like the Dodgers because they've spent all the money in the world, and they backloaded Ohtani's contract with, which people already don't like. So that's just public sentiment. That's what I'm trying to illustrate here. But just on the field, when I look at what's on paper, and I know World Series are not decided on paper, but when you have such a better team on paper than everybody else, I'm going to have to put you as the odds on favorite, especially when we're talking about those guys who didn't perform. You know who has performed in every big moment? And what I mean every big moment is, of course, the World Baseball Classic, which I put a lot of pedigree in because the guy freaking won. They add Shohei Ohtani. The starting rotation is a little bit dicey, right? But then I keep realizing that, like, all right, well, Walker Buehler looked really good against the Orioles. The Dodgers defense did him no favors. You know who also looked pretty good in his last start? Now he's pitching today, so that could change. Bobby Miller. What if he's back a little bit? Right? These guys don't just have injuries and they struggle and then they're just horrible forever. They're making strides here. Kershaw's back. Yamamoto's on a rehab assignment. Glasnow's going to be back. If we're talking about starting rotation depth, I mean, those are 5 guys who can go win you a playoff series. That's not even mentioning Gavin Stone, who's been just the consistent guy throughout this rotation the entire season. And then we move to the bullpen. They have so many good arms back there, it's absurd. They're going to be really good on defense. The offense, right? They didn't have Teoscar Hernandez last year. They haven't had Max Muncy like this entire season. Gavin Lux has taken a step up. Will Smith is still a dog. I know he's been struggling lately, but you know he's going to turn it on eventually. And couldn't this be then the postseason that Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman find it? I have World Series bets on the Padres. I have World Series bets on the Astros. But how can you not look at the Dodgers and say, this team is like way better on paper than everybody else? Way better.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially when you look at that lineup. My concern was apparently Tyler Glasnow's first throwing session did not go well. He did not respond well to that.
It's also in August.
Yeah, counterpoint to that, Yoshinobu Yamamoto looked awesome. Awesome. Was tagged for 1 hit. It was a homer off Blaine Krim. They're from Blaine Krim. Kumar Rocker looked better, by the way, in his AAA debut. That was Rocker and Yamamoto. But
Sick game.
yeah, really cool game. Yamamoto, Kershaw, Miller, Bueller. Even if Glasnow is not right, that's phenomenal. Oh, Gavin Stone. I forgot about Gavin Stone. How do you forget about Gavin Stone?
That's the thing about the Dodgers. You forget about their other great players. That's how many good players they have.
Yeah. I hear you on that. Now, there's something about them not being there recently that is kind of getting to me, if we're being honest. And that's why the Phillies are my number one team. I know the Phillies hit their snag in August. I'm frankly thankful that they hit their snag in August because that means that it's out of the way. They have plenty of time to get hot again. Now, if this snag is elongated, they won 4 in a row. I think the snag is over. But if the struggles bleed into late September, then I start to get a little nervous. But the fact that their struggles came in early to mid August and they have time to get really hot again, that gets me very excited for the Philadelphia Phillies. Taijuan Walker is a brutal watch. We won't need to watch him make postseason starts.
Mhm.
They have a postseason rotation of Wheeler, Nola, who is flying under the radar in terms of having a really good season, Ranger Suarez, and Christopher Sanchez. And that bullpen, man, Jose Alvarado's on the restricted list right now. He's going to return. Apparently, personal matter, but Rob Thompson said in media availability he feels very confident that Jose Alvarado will be back this season. So Alvarado returns. He's kind of in the run to the litter in that bullpen. If you're telling me that Wheeler goes 6, and then you can turn it over to an assortment of Strom, Kerkering, Hoffman, Estevez, that fires me up. And Wheeler has the ability to go 6 a 1-run ball in the postseason. We know Ranger has that ability. We know Nola has that ability as well. Bryce Harper's OPS dipped below 900. I don't care. It's Bryce Harper. We know what Bryce Harper can do in the postseason. This lineup is incredibly strong. Incredibly. Has Bryson Stott been underwhelming from the standards that we set for him? Yes, he has. Nick Castellanos underwhelming to the standards that we set for him? Yes, he has. But the postseason, I think you just wipe that shit clean and you let them go. And their vibes are always really freaking strong. I lean the Phillies ever so slightly. They're my number 2. They're my number 1.
Yeah, the Phillies are I won't be talking about the Phillies for a couple of
Oh
my
my
rankings. That's
gosh.
what I'm saying.
Why?
So I had some second thoughts about the Phillies, and it's really based on streakiness. Because this Phillies offense, like you mentioned it, where it's like Castellanos underperforming, Realmuto underperforming, even though he's been hot lately, Bryson Stott underperforming. Then at the back of that lineup, there's not a lot of juice there. Compare that to the Dodgers, it ain't close. I think of how deep the Dodgers offense can get. I also think that the Dodgers are a better defensive team. So if we're looking at the quality of the lineups, I think the Dodgers are a good amount better because I'm also looking at a Phillies team where if they're hot going into it,
Yeah.
my mind changes and I'm like, all right, let's go Philly. If they're cold going into it, my mind goes, I don't want any part of them.
Huh.
That's how I've been looking at the Phillies. So, and I think there might be an element of when there's a rivalry in Philly, they're better. When they go face a better Braves team last year, they look unstoppable. Unstoppable. The bank is as loud as humanly possible. They're screaming Strider. That whole fan base is into it. And I don't think that the 92 Dream Team, if you put them in baseball uniforms and you gave them all the basketball talent, but transition it to baseball, and they were the Phillies rival, they ain't beating the Phillies. They just aren't. But then the Diamondbacks come in and beat the piss out of them. I think they need either to be really streaky or they need that edge or they just come up a little bit flat. And I'm looking at a team like the Diamondbacks. I know the Phillies beat the Padres. I think it was a few years ago, but the Padres ain't scared of the Phillies.
22.
It's these West Coast teams that I think are so freaking loaded and so good offensively, hot right now, and can go toe to toe with the Phillies pitching that I think when I'm talking about an edge, if those series happens, all of baseball media is going to say that the Phillies should win that series, which is then going to give the Padres or the Diamondbacks the edge there. I think mentally over the Phillies, who come in as then the favorite. When they're coming as an underdog against the Braves or the 92 Dream Team, if that was a rivalry, I'm taking the Phillies. Does that make sense? That's why I just dropped the Phillies a little bit. They're not like 9. They're just, I couldn't have them at 1, 2, or 3.
Oh my gosh. So I have meant one because I think that they're better on paper. The team that I'm worried about, the Phillies seeing, speaking to your point, is Arizona. I think they're noticeably better on paper than the Milwaukee Brewers. I think that they are noticeably better on paper than the San Diego Padres, even. But when it comes to energy and matching that moment, I think that the Phillies could snap into it against Arizona, but I'm worried that Arizona catches them on their heels again. If they saw the Dodgers, like they're leveling up to match the Dodger level. I
I
feel
kind of
pretty
agree.
confident about
Like
that.
in an NLCS,
Yeah,
Phillies Dodgers, I need to see
I got the
which teams
Phillies.
perform better. I probably take the Dodgers. I need to see.
Yeah,
I
and I've
it
got the
would
Phillies.
then it would get close to the point of like, how have you done during the playoffs so far? Who's
Right,
healthy? Who's hitting? It would be matchup dependent, because if the Phillies are leveling up to that point, that means they already beat probably the Diamondbacks or the Padres or the Brewers, teams like that. So I'm like, okay, I probably could have been wrong. We'll see then. That's
right.
how I do it in my
Make,
brain.
makes total sense. So the number two team that MGM has after the Dodgers at plus 325 is the Philadelphia Phillies at plus 475. So
Yep.
they're aligned there. Those are the two teams at odds shorter than plus 500. My number two team is the Dodgers. Like I think it's slim. I take the Phillies by a little bit. I would go Phillies in 7. I'm watching every single pitch of that 7-game series. But the Dodgers, like they're so ridiculously talented. And again, the rehab from Yamamoto got me fired up, especially the same night that Bueller, performs against the Baltimore Orioles. And you mentioned like some defensive lapses. What the hell was that drop third strike from Will Smith?
Or how about Muncy just chucking it straight into the ground?
Sure, sure, but like
No, I agree. It
that's
was
a
just
physical
all.
error. The
Yeah.
mental error is like, why is Will Smith like thinking about throwing the ball back to Bueller when it was a swing and a miss on a pitch that clearly bounced? I just
Yeah, I,
didn't get it.
I didn't understand it either. And it screwed him. It screwed him, but he
Screwed
still
him.
came out and had a good outing. Like his stuff
Yeah.
looked really good. And you could kind of see like this is why, I mean, besides Bueller being on the show, but like we have always loved him as a pitcher, because you could see the FU attitude after that
That's
first
such a
inning
fucking
where
swagger, dude.
like
He is such a
he
swagger.
strikes out Adley Rutschman and he's just behind the mound. And I know him now. Like I know he's thinking, fuck you, Adley. Like in a respectful way. He's not being disrespectful, but just he's so hyped up. And I love that Bueller. Butane is back.
So intense. So I have the Dodgers at 2. Who do you have at 2? Because it's not the Phillies.
No, it's not. It's the Padres.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
the team I invested in. I have the Padres as the second most likely team to win the World Series. And again, you could, for anybody listening, you could feel all safe and happy following the odds with big baseball media and Jack McMullen all you want to. Or you could step onto the plank and have a real opinion here, have a
Yeah, for
real
sure.
take. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
No, you need to not be a soft follower like Jack. You
Yeah, you
need
could.
to have thoughts that are unique like Peter.
For anyone who doesn't like the Padres, why don't you go follow MLB's Instagram and just look at them celebrating all the best teams? Why don't you go do that? Why don't you click off the podcast to do that? All right. Here's why the Padres are better than the Phillies when it comes to a World Series team, because these aren't the best teams. These are the teams most set up to go win a World Series. I think the Phillies have a really good bullpen. I trust the Padres bullpen a little bit more. And I know this is coming off the game where Robert Suarez just gave up that winning hit to Nolan Arenado. But I look at the Phillies bullpen, I really don't like it after the first 4. Now those back 4 are really, really good with Strom, Kerkering, Hoffman, and Estevez.
Estevez.
Those 4 are great. But the Padres, I think I have 7. And if they're all putting up zeros, it's just not quite as an electric zero as the Phillies front 4. I like the Padres' depth there. I think Dylan Cease can go toe to toe with Zach Wheeler. I prefer Wheeler, but I think Cease can go toe to toe with him. I think Michael King can go toe to toe with Aaron Nola. I think Joe Musgrove at his best can go toe to toe with Ranger Suarez. So if there's not that much of a gap there, then I look at the offense. And I look at an offense in San Diego that has put up better numbers this season than the Philadelphia Phillies have.
Yeah.
And this is largely without a Fernando Tatis Jr. I also think that the Padres are a slightly better defensive team than the Phillies are. And then that's not even mentioning potentially adding back Yu Darvish into that rotation. So if we're talking about Musgrove and Darvish, guys who have proved it before, even in the postseason, and have been absolutely dominant, I have the upside of Dylan Cease, who can look as good as anybody on earth, as can Wheeler. Wheeler's amazing. We're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
And with Aaron Nola, like, I think I'm just a little bit more down on Aaron Nola than basically the entire market is. So if it's King Nola in game 2, I'm betting the Padres. I'm just telling you right now. So, and then I look at the offense, and I think that that unit is deeper and better adding Tatis back than the Phillies are. I love the Phillies front five. They're so good in that lineup. But after that, I don't love it. Who's hitting 6th for the Padres right now? Jackson Merrill. And that's in a lineup without Tatis right now. I think the Padres are more set up to go win a World Series than the Phillies are. Unless the Phillies get hot, then throw these rankings out the window and we'll probably be on the Phillies. Because if they're hot, they're literally unbeatable. But I think the Padres have been more consistent this season. I trust their offense more. I trust their defense a little bit more. I trust their bullpen more. And if the starting pitching matchups aren't that different, like you'd give an edge to Wheeler. I think Nola King is a wash. Ranger, I'd probably give it to him over Musgrove, but Musgrove can do whatever he wants at any given time if he's on. So I just go with the Padres. I think they're a better team.
Okay, so pushback. Michael King, how many postseason innings do you think Michael King has thrown?
0. I
2.
mean, yeah, he's thrown 2 with the Yankees.
2 in the DS in 2020.
And then I would counter with how many innings did the Diamondbacks pitchers all throw last year? Most of them had never like made the playoffs.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
Brandon Pfaadt in Philly is dominating. So it's like, yeah, we could say, well, King hasn't pitched in the postseason. Yeah, but it's not like he's just gonna forget
how to pitch
when he has a 3-1.
You make a nice point.
You know, I'm like, I don't. I think that matters. So like,
I don't think Michael King and Aaron Nola are punching at the same weight class
I think
in
King
the
might be better.
postseason.
Maybe. I've seen
This regular season, King has been arguably better, but Nola, it's not like Nola has a 4 and we're waiting on him to level up because he makes a lot of money. Nola has thrown about 170 innings at a 3.3.
So here's what I'm trying to say, though. Like, if those guys are facing each other,
yeah,
is
I
Nola,
give Nola
like that
edge.
much better? Yeah, but like, how big of an edge?
I give Nola a noticeable edge.
Like, give me the final stat line from that game.
So Nola, it's weird because he has dominated in the early rounds and he has struggled in the CS and the World Series. Let's say that the Padres and the Dodgers match, or the Padres and the Phillies match up in the DS. I give you 6 innings of 2-run ball from Nola, and I give you 5 innings of 3-run ball from King.
I think that's reasonable if you're looking at them in a vacuum.
Yeah,
but if
that's what I am.
If they're facing each other, and the Padres have the better bullpen and their offense has been better,
I don't
doesn't
know
that
if the
negate
Padres
a
are
little
going to
bit?
have the better postseason bullpen. I'm not sure about that. I know that they've created a super pen, and it looks awesome with Suarez and with Adam and with Tanner Scott and with Yuki Matsui, but like
Prada, I mean, they just keep going down the line.
I know, but like I don't think that Strom, Kirkring, Alvarado, Hoffman, Estevez is jump change, man.
Well, I'm not putting Alvarado in that conversation right now.
I'll put Alvarado in that conversation because he's a dog. He turns it on at the right time.
He makes me nervous. That's all I'm going to say.
I get it. But like dude, nerves are fine in the regular season, but in the postseason, man, I want the ball in the lefty that throws 100's hands.
The same lefty who gave up that ding dong to Jordan?
Yeah, sure.
No,
Why not?
No,
man?
that's unfair to Jose Alvarado. Alvarado has been he's been a great postseason performer. I'd like to see him do it again. I do not think this looks like the same Jose Alvarado of old. And then beyond those 4, I have a lot of question marks. Padres, I don't. So I think that, and for example, a big reason why you hated the Brewers, I think you're putting too much emphasis on the talent level of a starting pitcher in a matchup. Like,
that's all I do. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that's all
It
you
is all
do.
I do. No, I know that personally. Like my view on a game, my view on a team depends on their starting rotation and their starting pitcher that day.
Because if Nola, okay, I'll even concede the point. I don't agree with it, but for the exercise sake, I'll concede it that Nola
Yep.
is better than Michael King. But if Nola has a harder matchup and a worse bullpen behind him, does that make the what happens to that then matchup
I
then? Because
just
what if
don't
it's tied? What if they both go 6 innings, 2 runs?
and like
Then
that's
what
the
happens?
thing.
Then you'd rather be on the Padres.
We disagree because I don't know if that's a firm, clear-cut thing. Oh, he's facing a better lineup. The Padres are a better lineup than
I
the
think the
Phillies.
Padres are a
The
better
Padres
lineup
have
when
a
you add
better
Tatis.
bullpen than the Phillies, a better bullpen. I'm like, no, I'm not sure if that's true, man. I'm just not sure.
That's fair. That's a difference of opinion. And that's why we have different lists. And you
Yes,
know what? The odds and big media and MLB.com, they all agree with you.
I know. I'm
And
the
they've
cookie
always
cutter,
been
and you're the edge guy.
they've been historically right, right? When they picked the best teams every year,
I
they've always been right.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to revisit this when the Padres are having their World Series parade. It's going to be awesome.
Or when the
I
Padres get bounced in the wild card and that bullpen I'm talking about blows it.
just killed, absolutely murdered. Tanner Scott back to back to back homers in the eighth.
But we're
Brutal.
only through 2 right now. So we got more
We're through two,
conversation to
but
have.
having said that, like the bulk of the conversation comes at the tippy top. I think 3, 4, 5, 6, they're going to go quick. Number 3, the Yankees are at plus 550 by BetMGM. The Yankees have the third best odds to win the World Series. Who is number 3 for you?
Arizona. The Diamondbacks come in at number 3 on my list. And again, shut off the podcast and go hang out in your safe space on MLB.com's Instagram if you know you hate this list. But here's why I think the Diamondbacks. First of all I can think about is how the Diamondbacks played well against the Phillies in the regular season. They beat them in the postseason. They now have that pedigree in the postseason, like you were mentioning. I don't put a lot of stock into that. Here's what I put a lot of stock into. If we're talking about rotation depth, any single one of those 6 that they have can go in and win a postseason game. And I am including Jordan Montgomery in that. Now, that might be stupid. I understand. But I don't think you forget how to pitch. And when the big moment arises, if he can get a big start or he's coming into the bullpen to elongate it, that's fine too. But currently, like, I believe in Gallen. I believe in Kelly. I believe in Eduardo Rodriguez. I do. I believe in Ryan Nelson. I believe in Brandon Pfaadt. These are all guys who I think can give you a quality start. I'm not saying that they are going to all throw shutouts. They don't have that upside except Gallen and I think Kelly, who they, again, have proved it. But I think they can keep you in the game because the Diamondbacks offense is absolutely phenomenal. They've been the best offense in Major League Baseball in August. So if we're talking about teams heating up, they look to be heating up at the right time. And this is all without Ketel Marte, Christian Walker, and Gabby Moreno, who are 3 super. I mean, Ketel Marte is the best player on the team. Christian Walker has been the perennial all-star, the guy who hits 4th in their lineup. And Gabby Moreno is the catcher who was hitting 3rd in their World Series lineup last year. Then I look at the bullpen with Justin Martinez just taking off on a rocket ship. He skipped past being underrated. He's just the man now. He's been so
awesome.
freaking good. And you turn on one at bat of watching Justin Martinez and you know that he's real. And then we just keep going down the line. Depth, depth, depth. They're fast. They play great defense. It's hard to win at Chase Field. Like, I think the Diamondbacks against the Phillies win that series. I think the Padres win that series. So that's what I had to do. Do I look at the Phillies and I'm like, oh my God, Wheeler is better than Gallen? Of course he is. But I don't think that's the point. Because if Gallen can have 6 innings, 2 runs, and Wheeler against that offense goes 6 innings, 2 runs, now we have both bullpens. Now I think we have the better offense with Arizona. And I think then they would win that game. So I'm going with the Diamondbacks at number 3. I think they are fantastic. We're not even close to the Yankees on my list yet. And I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm going with the D-backs.
You know how I'm super cookie cutter and all that, and the Yankees have the 3rd best odds to win the World Series? The Diamondbacks are number 3 for me as well.
Love it. Love it.
League average OPS since the All-Star break is about 730. What do you think the D-backs team OPS is since the All-Star break?
60.
853 is the best in baseball.
Can I get some credit here? Haven't you noticed the last time you've asked me to guess numbers? I've been pretty spot on. I think
You're
I'm like 3
pretty
for 3
on 'em.
lately.
feel like Aram is more consistently on all of them, but I think that's just because like he stores them in a place in his brain that we don't have.
That's a good point. And then he's got so many screens up and he's like
Right?
shit out of the air. We're like, the 90th percentile. What did you just say?
It's like Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover. You see the numbers flying by when he's doing Rain Man in the casino. Like,
But the only thing I have up in front of me is my Google Docs with my top 10 rankings. That's it. This is off the top.
I'm looking at you. I just have Zoom up.
Yeah.
In 853 OPS since the All Star break, 36 games. They're hitting 279 as a team. And when you look at home run totals, it's been the Yankees because they have that Judge and Soto duo characters,
They're pretty good.
Atlanta, and Arizona. The Yankees, Atlanta, and Arizona. Those are the three teams with 60 or more home runs since the All Star break.
Hmm.
And you mentioned that they've been doing this without Christian Walker since the deadline. They got Josh Bell for cash considerations because they needed a fill in. And they've done this for what, week and a half without Ketel Marte? Corbin Carroll is like real again. And that grand slam in the eighth inning yesterday, that got my juices flowing to the point where I was like, they can't be lower than 4. And here we go. I got them at 3.
I do have the Padres slightly ahead of them, but like I don't. It's so razor thin. And I think it's interesting that I have 3 NL West teams as my top 3 teams to win the World Series. And remember, we're intermingling AL, but I just haven't gotten my
Yep.
AL team yet. And now they're review.
Yep. Number 4, the Baltimore Orioles have the 4th best odds at plus 700. They are the only other team under plus 1,000 when it comes to odds. So the Orioles are 4th by MGM. I have the Astros at 4.
I have the Astros
For a lot
at
of this,
4.
you have the Astros at 4.
I also
Okay,
have the
there we
Astros. Oh no, I don't. I have the Phillies at 4. Sorry.
go. Okay, so you've got. Let's get that out of the way. So you got the Phils at 4.
Yes.
You've already essentially made your case. For
Yes,
the
I
Phillies.
still love the Phillies. Like they're at 4.
Yeah,
They're just
yeah.
not at 2 or 3. The Phillies are at 4 for me.
And I assume you have the Astros at 5.
Yes.
Okay, so you have the Astros at 5. I have the Astros at 4. I have the Phillies 1. The Astros are at 4 for me for a lot of the reasons that we laid out when talking about Arrighetti. Yordan Alvarez again, his 3rd 3-homer game of his career on Wednesday. If Kyle Tucker is still a person, like he has interest in playing ball this year, that makes that lineup so freaking scary. So scary. I like don't want to cite this as a reason that I think they can win the World Series, but I kind of sneaky like the Jason Hayward pickup for the meantime while they wait for Kyle Tucker. I love that personally. I think Yainer Diaz is one of the more underappreciated young hitters in Major League Baseball. I know we've talked about him in the catcher lens, but I'm willing to expand to the hitter lens as a whole. This guy puts together competitive ABs all the freaking time. He hits the ball incredibly hard, and I cannot believe he was sitting on his ass because Dusty Baker liked the intangibles of Martin Maldonado last year. This lineup is a little bit more tooled out than I thought that they were going to be. Altuve still Altuve. Bregman has really started to, tick up. And I say started to. He's been ticking up for a little bit now. And Yordan is Yordan, man. You put Yordan Alvarez in the postseason with that pitching staff and Hader finding it like you talked about on yesterday's show, I think they're in a really good spot.
I think what makes the Astros so dangerous is the guys that you haven't really heard about yet. And what I mean by that is I think Yainer Diaz is a good example. And I'm not saying like the listeners of the Just Baseball show know all about Yainer Diaz. I'm talking about the people who have been checked out for months, remember the Astros being bad and be like, oh yeah, they're back. And then they turn on the game and they see this hulking catcher after the Altuves and the Bregmans and the Tuckers and the Jordans of the world. And they say, well, why is that guy also hitting a bunch of home runs? But it's not even just about that and guys like Jeremy Pena, who have that postseason pedigree and I still think are a really good player. It's, again, the Spencer Arrighettis of the world. It's the potentially Ronel Blancos of the world. Hunter Brown, like the depth on this team. Everybody knows about Josh Hader, Brian Abreu, and Ryan Presley. But how about Brian King, who has a 2.05 ERA? Caleb Hort, I don't actually believe in, but the fact that he's got a 1.26 ERA. But Taylor Scott, right? Even Hector Neris comes over, and you know that the former Astro like might find it again with him. So we look at
Might he's going to be awesome
he's
with
going to
them.
be
You
awesome.
know
Of
that
course he is.
already.
I already know that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at elite talent at the top who have proven it and will probably have the loosest sphincters of any players in this entire thing. The nerves will just not be there for them at all.
Are loose sphincters a good thing?
Loose sphincters are a great thing when the going gets tough. Slowing the game down, like these Astros can slow the game down with anybody, as can the Phillies. But again, the Astros are continually there all the time. So I'm looking at elite top end talent. But the reason they're a little bit lower is because they don't have a Wheeler. They don't have a Cease. They don't have well, the Dodgers just have like 5 of them. They don't have those type of guys. They're very similar to the Diamondbacks because the Diamondbacks don't really have that guy. I think. I mean, Gallen can be that guy. He just hasn't proved it this
You don't
season.
think Fromber is that guy?
Yeah, he is. He's kind of that guy.
I think Gatlin's that guy, and I think Fromber's that guy.
Yeah. No,
But I
Framber
guess
has.
my definition of that guy is like a little bit different than yours. And I've also thought Fromber's been that guy for like 4 years
No,
at this
Framber
point.
is that guy. You are right. Yeah, maybe the Astros should be above the D-backs. Now that I'm kind of thinking about it. I
Your
don't know,
thought.
but they're all in the same boat.
Okay. So your top 5 as it stands right now is Dodgers, Padres, D-backs, Phillies, Astros.
Dodgers, Padres, D-backs, Phillies, Astros, correct.
Okay. Mine is, well, MGM's is Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees, Orioles, Astros at plus 1,000. They're number 5.
Mhm.
My top 5 is Phillies, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Astros, Yankees.
Mm,
Aaron Judge and Wanso. Like
yeah.
Judge and Soto, Cole is, throwing every 5th day. If we got Cole's 2023 and we could pair it with Judge and Soto's 2024, obviously we can't do that. I mean, that's invoking the recounts of 61 where it's Maris Mantle and Whitey Ford. You know what I mean? Like it's that type of thing. Now the 61 Yankees also had like 5 other guys hit 20 homers or some shit. Like I think there were 3 or 4 other guys, like Bill
That's the
Skowron.
point. That's the point.
I know there's no Robins to the 3 Batmans at this point right now. Now, I think they're good enough, and I just couldn't put the tandem of Judge and Soto any lower than 5. I couldn't do it because they can win games in the postseason by themselves.
No, I understand. And might take a little break before we get into the rest of the top 10, but
Yeah.
so I'll save my points for talking about the Yankees later. So you don't even have the Padres in your top 5, and I have them at 2.
No, I don't
That's
have them in my top
crazy to
5.
me. I think that they're also the late game heroics that this team has been showing, the never say die attitude. Like they are that team where the going gets tough. Like I think they're going to rise above. I'm just surprised that you don't have in your top 5.
Yeah, I mean, stay tuned here because we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to talk about the Padres. We took a break, and now I'm talking about the Padres. The Padres are at number 6 for me. Padres, I don't want to do this to MGM, but the Padres are at 9 on MGM at plus 1,600. There are 4 teams: the D-backs, the Braves, the Guardians, and the Padres. So 6 through 9 are going to go very quickly here. D-backs, Braves, Guardians, Padres are all at plus 1,600 to win the World Series. So 6, 7, 8, 9, like they're essentially the same thing. So the Padres are at 6. I've got the Padres at 6 again because I'm a follower and I like MLB's Instagram account. I wonder about that rotation, man. Like I haven't seen Dylan Cease throw in a situation like this before. I haven't seen Michael King throw in a situation like this before. I've seen Musgrove. I loved it. But what version of Musgrove are we going to get? I hope we get the one with red hot on his ears. Like, I have no idea what we're going to see. And you, Darvish, I love Darvish's presence. I love that he's back from the restricted list. He hasn't thrown in a few months, man. Like, I don't know what Darvish is going to look like. Do I like this lineup? Absolutely, I do. Do I like this bullpen? Absolutely, I do. But again, I'm falling into the starting pitching thing where I'm like, I go game by game. I look at this guy versus that guy, and then this guy versus that guy. I'm like, I don't know who I'm giving them the advantage over the course of a 5-game series, over a 7-game series.
But here's the flaw in that analysis. Like, why wouldn't you just try and create the best starting rotation and then like that team's just going to win the World Series? Like, it never works out like that. Like there's
I
been plenty
I
of
think there's
teams.
a blend. I think there's a blend. I don't think
I
the
think there is a
Padres
blend.
lineup is that overwhelmingly better than like the Phillies lineup or the Astros lineup. I don't think it's better.
I think it is because I think it's much deeper. And this current Padres lineup that ranks like top 5 in everything has been without your favorite guy in Tatis. Like they now have Bogarts and
Yeah.
Machado. Luis
My
Ariz
favorite
is
guy is
playing really
Connor
well.
Joe, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
but no, but you love Fernando Tatis Jr. You pick him for every P every year. And you're like, unless he gets hurt, you're right, because he's an uber talented, amazing player who's also a platinum glove winner in right field. You add that defense in and you take out David Peralta. Now Jackson Merrill's like hitting 8th.
Yeah.
Who's hitting 8th for the Phillies? Marsh or Merrill? Like that's what I'm talking about. So it's like if I do think that the Padres just have such a deeper lineup. I think they're great defensively too. And Luis Ariz wasn't very good when he first came over. He's been heating back up a little bit again. So now you have the best contact hitter at the top. You got Profar with the just whenever you need a big hit, he's going to be there. And then you keep going down the lineup and it's like, oh my God, how do we get any of these guys out? And there's no breaks. Like Kyle Higashioka is hitting the game tying home run yesterday. Now I know they lost, but it's a regular season. So that's when I look at the Padres. So that's why I have the Yankees at 6. That's where I come in with the Yankees. Because nobody in baseball, not even the Dodgers, can replicate Judge Soto at the plate.
No.
You can't. Now, Otani Mookie is right up there. Otani Freeman, Dodgers are better. That's why I have them ranked number 1. But you cannot replicate that. It is historic. It is, frankly, legendary. The type of numbers that they're going to have at the end of the season. Nobody can touch that. And that's why automatically I feel like you just have to rise them. Because you can't really pitch around both of them. Like you can't just have runners on in the postseason. Because Austin Wells has proven that he can hit them in. So, and with Glaber now stepping into the leadoff spot has been much better. He's hitting over 300 since he entered back in the leadoff spot. So you have some guys here. And the Yankees generally are decent defenders. I don't trust our rotation. I don't. And I don't trust our bullpen.
Can I ask individually, who do you not trust in the rotation?
Like, am I just supposed to trust that Rodon is going to dominate?
No. Like I was expecting you to ID Rodon, but who else? Stroman?
Stroman, Nestor, Schmidt,
All of it. All of it except
Refuel.
Cole.
Yeah, all of it except, like, I think that they could be good. And maybe this is my, like, pessimistic Yankee fan coming out. I just don't trust them like I trust other teams 2 through 4. And then I go to the bullpen. We don't have the swing and miss stuff in that bullpen. Like, I don't trust Clay Holmes. I'm sorry. I don't. I don't trust like Luke Weaver, and Michael Tonkin was having a great year. We DFA'd him because I kind of agree he was falling off a cliff. Just signed with the Twins. We'll talk about the Twins later.
Will we?
Tommy Kahnle is the man. He's the man. But I cannot trust one reliever. Like the guys above, I just trust so many more guys over my Yankees. Now, if the Yankees get hot and Judge and Soto go ballistic, none of that might not matter because that's how incredible that they are.
I'm not sure any of it will matter. I will also say that Cole is Cole, and we can't forget that in the postseason.
That's a dude, 100%.
And Stroman, in a big moment, has been really good over the course of his career. He rises to occasions.
How many times is he going to rise to the occasion? He's going to rise to the occasion every time?
I don't think he's done rising to occasions.
I hope you're right. Like I do. Because if you're right, I'm the happiest man on earth.
I know.
I'm telling you, my gut does not trust it. And maybe that's because they've stuck a knife in my heart for the last, since 2009.
Oh, yeah, you poor thing.
No, I'm not saying I'm a poor thing. I'm saying
No,
if we're talking about World Series odds, they have objectively come up short at every junction. 2017, I still think we should have won, but that's for another time. No guarantee we're beating Dodgers, but whatever.
Okay. Number 7.
Go ahead.
No,
I'm rambling. I'm just saying that I don't trust the back end of this rotation at all, and I don't trust anyone in the bullpen outside of Tommy Kahnle.
Understood. Number 7, again, there's, kind of that 4-way share for MGM. I got Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, and San Diego that are all at plus 1,600. That takes you effectively 6 through 9. My 7 is Baltimore. This is where I get to them. If we just look at lineups, either top 3, they don't fall past 3. But you're missing half the game. And like I worry about that other half of the game a lot with the Baltimore Orioles now, with all of the injuries that they've been dealt. I don't know, man. Like they kind of give me the heebie-jeebies on the mound right now, and it's just I picture them in a packed ballpark in the postseason, and I'm like, I just don't know if this is gonna work, man. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to be talking about the Orioles for a little bit longer. They
Damn,
are
who's 7?
falling fast.
Yeah.
So I'll get to my 7. The Braves.
Yeah.
Might be higher than a lot of people might have thought. But if you like pitching, may I welcome you to arguably the best full pitching staff among these rankings. Chris Sale, I'll take him against anybody on earth. Max Fried, postseason performer. Reynaldo Lopez, Spencer Schwellenbach. I'll take all those 4 guys. I have full confidence in all of them. Now, bullpen. It's as good as any bullpen in baseball, and it's really, really deep. Guys like Dylan Lee down there. It's really deep. So from top to bottom, I have faith that the Braves are going to be one of the better teams in run prevention in the playoffs. They already are one of the best teams in run prevention in the regular season. The issue has been the offense. But I look at a Braves offense that'll likely get Michael Harris back by the postseason. I'm pretty sure they're going to get Ozzie Albies
Harris is back.
Yeah, Harris is back. Excuse me. Albies should be back by the postseason.
Think so. Wrist fracture on July 21.
That timetable kind of tells me like mid-September, getting right back into the postseason. But regardless, can you hit home runs in opportune spots? And you said it yourself. You said the Yankees and the Braves. Braves have as many home runs as any team since the All-Star break. I know that the offense has been really, really disappointing. I understand it. And that's why they are 7. But if they get hot, and we know that the Braves can get hot, they are a very, very dangerous team.
Yeah.
Because they're going to sneak in here. People are going to be so underwhelmed by them. And then you got Sale versus Freddie Peralta. Probably going to take the Braves in that series. I don't know, depending on who they face.
No shit, I'm taking the Braves in that series.
And then Braves get to the next round. Sale versus Cease.
I'll take Sale.
That's what I'm saying too. Like, and then if I'm talking about the Padres' great bullpen, Braves have a great bullpen too. But then the way the Padres and the Diamondbacks and all these teams are better than them is because their offense is just so much better. Where the Braves offense could just continue to fall flat on its face. You cannot just have only Marcell Ozuna. Like that cannot survive. But then Riley comes back too. This is what I'm saying. Like they could get really, really good, really fast without anybody noticing.
I know. So the reason I'm not getting to the Braves for a couple more here, they get Albies and Riley back near the end of September. Con, Albies and Riley don't come back until near the end of September. So they're present, and you have Ozzie Albies and Austin Riley back in the lineup. The con, are they going to be ready to see the best pitching on the planet in the postseason after a week of ramp up in game action? I'm not sure.
That's why they're 7. If I felt really confident in that, they'd be higher. They'd probably be in my top 5.
Yeah, no, they'd be in mine too, but I'll spoil it now. Like I'm not getting to them until 9 because my number 8 is Kansas City.
Wow.
The Royals are outside the top 10 in BetMGM's World Series odds. You've got the D-backs, the Braves, the Guardians, the Padres at plus 1,600. The Brewers and the Twins are both at plus 1,800. The Royals are nowhere to be found. And Kansas City is my number 8 because of that starting rotation and that offense. You look after the All-Star break, Kansas City's offense has been awesome. Kansas City is one of 4 teams in Major League Baseball with a team OPS over 800 since the All-Star break. 37 games, they're hitting 285 as a team with an 810 OPS. Again, it's not just Bobby Witt Jr. And I was holding out on Kansas City. I was holding out. Like the front half of the year, I remember about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was like, I think I have more confidence in the Texas Rangers building a serious comeback bid. over the Kansas City Royals. Since the break, like my mind has totally changed on Kansas City. And it has to do with Waka being really good. Like I can ID one guy. It's Michael Waka. Like Urseg has been amazing. I love that they have Urseg back there. I worry about that bullpen a little bit. But that lineup is good. They have the pieces around Bobby Witt Jr. And Bobby Witt is a top 5 player in Major League Baseball.
Superstar.
He's a superstar. That rotation, the fact that I can look at them now, and I know Lugo's sliding, but I can look at them and I can go, Lugo, Reagans, Singer, Waka. Dude, they match up with anybody. Anybody.
No, I agree. They're in my top 10. We'll talk about them in a minute.
Yeah.
I think I'm just a little bit lower on them because I don't love the back half of the lineup. And I think that if you're starting Reagan's game 1, you got a shot against anybody. I don't like Lugo in game 2. Lugo is regressing. Like Lugo, the underlying metrics are starting to really hit. Singer is the same way. So like Waka would have to really, really step up. So while I like a lot of the names and I feel like the production this season warrants that number 8, I just think moving forward, the two guys in the middle of those two, Lugo and Singer, are going to struggle a little bit against elite offenses. And I'm also a little bit nervous about their home road splits. A young team who's already struggled on the road this season, if they have to go on the road against a really good team, right? If they have to go to Minute Maid or they have to go to Yankee Stadium or they even have to go to Progressive Field, like I don't love their chances in those matchups. Again, Royals fans splitting hairs. They're in my top 10. But at my number 8 spot, I have the Guardians, who I assume you left off your top 10.
No.
Okay, good. I keep coming back to this. Everybody wants in baseball, everybody wants the Twins and the Royals to be better than the Guardians. Don't you feel like that's kind of the vibe? Like everyone's like, well, Bobby Witt Jr. is so good. They're all coming after the division. Why haven't you grabbed it yet?
I don't feel it with the Twins.
I do. I just feel like it's the Guardians are so fake. There's no way they win. And yet, who's at the top of the division? Do everyone who's on that boat think that that was some sort of mistake? That at the end of August, like regression should have already hit. And I know it's been kind of hitting lately. But I'm telling you that this Guardians team, the magic on offense, it's hard to quantify. Like to tell you that, oh, well, in xWOBA, they're this high, or in OPS, they're this high. They're never ranking that high. But then they put up 7 against you, against your best pitcher. And you think, well, how did that happen? I believe in the magic on offense. I also believe that they have 3 really fantastic hitters in Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez, and Josh Naylor. And I think Andres Jimenez can still step up. And you got Jackenzie Noel hitting home runs. They're obviously a very good defensive team. They're obviously really quick on the base pass. Like in the margins, they're going to be perfect. So then when they get the big hit, they can deliver against any opponent. That's why they're one of the best teams against teams over 500. They rise to the occasion. That's what we're talking about when it comes to the playoffs, rising to the occasion. And that's what the Guardians do. On the pitching side, I still think Bobby can go up against any ace and keep his team within the game. I'm not saying he's better than Wheeler, but what I am saying is if it's Bobby versus Wheeler, I'm not giving it to the Phillies, if that makes sense. Like Bobby versus whoever your ace is, I'm not just giving that to you.
Yeah.
Then we keep going down the line. There's upside in some of them. Like that's why they continue to fall down. But if you're not going to have a rotation that I love, have the best bullpen in baseball. Have the best closer in baseball. So when you're talking about the Royals, I'm not as high quite on their rotation. I think both offenses can bang against anybody, and I'll take the Cleveland bullpen over anybody anytime. So that's why I lean Cleveland at 8. I don't think that there's no reason they're at the top right now. I think they're still going to win the division. I still think that they're the best team in the Central, and they got no home road worries. They can go beat you anywhere, anytime.
So I've got Atlanta at 9, and then I have Cleveland at 10. So that rounds out my top 10.
Okay. I have the Orioles at 9, Royals at 10.
So we've already discussed all of these teams.
I haven't given my Orioles point.
Okay.
I want to tell you why I'm a little bit lower, because I think that'll be shocking to most people. You have them like,
got you.
What do you have?
My
5, 6?
Guardians point
Okay, go ahead.
is I could have the Guardians at 8 but I have them at 10 because I'm waiting on Lane Thomas to get good.
That's
That's
why.
my They need one more guy in that lineup to make me feel just a little bit more comfortable.
Or Andres Jimenez, dude, you got it in you. He's got it in
Yeah,
him.
that's the thing. Like, we know Andres Jimenez has that in him. We know Lane Thomas has that in him, man.
Yep.
Like, I'm waiting on Lane Thomas to get good, man. Like, he's been terrible since
Yeah.
coming over. Lane Thomas, 26 games with the Guardians. He's hitting a buck 45 with a 430 OPS. You just cannot do that. Are there rotation questions after Bobby? Like, is Gavin Williams the Gavin Williams of 2023? To be determined. Logan Allen is up. I don't want Logan Allen starting games in the postseason for the Cleveland Guardians. By the way, Wednesday night was Tristan McKenzie against Ian Anderson in AAA. How funny is that?
That is awesome.
That right?
How's Ian Anderson doing, by the way?
Ian Anderson is finding it again a little bit. I'll pull up the exact numbers on him, but he was like so broken, and then it was what, Tommy John, and then he's worked his way back a little bit. But Ian Anderson this year with Gwinnett, 7 starts at a 4.8, 35 innings, K'd 35, walked 15. Like, it's not as broken as it was. Um, dude, it's just so tough because what's the rotate? It's Bybee, Williams, Lively.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's been the rotation all year, and they're first in the division.
It hasn't been the rotation all year. Bybee and Lively have been there all year, but Gavin Williams has made 8 starts since the All-Star break and has a 5.5 in those 8 starts. Like, it's a little scary.
Sorry, I believe in him. And you know who you're
Yeah.
not talking about? All right, let's say Gavin Williams bows out. What about new lefty Matthew Boyd, who's like kind of shoving?
Matt Boyd.
I'm
Joey
telling you,
Cantillo, man.
they're not supposed to win, and yet they keep winning. So what are we just supposed to say? Well, because it doesn't fit my narrative of great starting pitchers, that means they can't win. Like, I can't get around.
You're right.
All they
And
need
I'm
to do is
trying
get
to
5
buck the
innings.
starting pitching thing. I'm trying to buck the starting pitching thing by saying that Lane Thomas needs to get good. Honestly, if they had a good 1 through 7, I can buck the starting pitching thing. But I just
then
couldn't do it.
you can't hedge it with just the best bullpen in such a long time with Emmanuel Clase, who might get Cy Young votes, and then you continue to go down the line. It's like all of these guys could close.
Clase is automatic in the 9th. I love Cade Smith right now.
Love him.
The rest of it, it's been awesome. I need to see it against Aaron Judge and Juan Soto.
That's okay. I understand that I'm taking the leap and saying I trust it already. So I think that's the difference, and that's totally fair. So why did I rank the Guardians above the Orioles? Because I think that is something that would make, especially Orioles fans, very upset.
No doubt.
I think about it like this. Corbin Burns is more talented than Tanner Bybee, but have you seen Burns lately?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like the same guy. And mentioned it. It really started falling apart. Remember why I mentioned on the weekend roundup? I was like, he didn't get a whiff on the cutter. We talked about that. It's not the same Corbin Burns that we're used to. And then who? So a team like the Orioles, who is so good offensively, they are incredible offensively. But I don't trust the pitching really at all, especially with Eflin going down. Like Cade Povich. If we're talking about Gavin Williams struggling, Povich has been worse.
Yeah.
And outside of Yenny or Cano, I don't trust anyone in that bullpen.
Anyone.
So, yes, the Orioles' offense is better. Good luck against Cade Smith and Gaddis and Clase. Like, these guys are going to come in after the Orioles got their 2 runs in 5 innings against the starters that we mentioned.
Yeah.
And they get those guys. And then the Guardians get to go hit Sir Anthony Dominguez and Craig Kimbrell. Like, Jacob Webb. Like, these guys are good, not great. Guardians are great. I think the Guardians are winning games in that series over the Orioles. Again, the Orioles are still in my top 10 because their offense is just, I mean, if they start hitting, they could go crazy.
Right.
But Adley's not had a great year offensively. He just hasn't.
No.
It takes a little bit of the thunder. Like, when you look at the Orioles offense, Gunner's amazing.
Yeah.
Santander can hit a home run at any moment.
Yeah.
Then who?
Still Adley.
With
the
his
first base
740 OPS?
Yeah, I mean the first
Yeah,
base
still good.
tandem too.
Yeah, O'Hearn and Mountcastle, like good. It's like not as good as like I think we think it is. The numbers are great. Like
Thing is,
Ryan
like,
O'Hearn's the 3-hitter in the World Series.
yeah, I mean, why not, dude? Like
Yeah.
Robbie Grossman was the 3-hitter in the World Series
Yeah, but
last year.
that was ridiculous. That was the most Bruce Bochy
But I mean, like,
shit I've ever seen.
even a Kauser has a 770, and Ramon Urias started so slowly, but he has a 760. Like everybody's been good. Everybody's been
Yeah,
good except Cedric Mullins, essentially.
yeah, they're good. They're 9.
Yeah,
And then at 10, I come in with the Royals.
yeah,
A team that I felt bad leaving off, the Brewers.
yeah. But there's just like there's no space for them without Yelich. There's no
That's
space.
the thing. Fuck, we lost Yelich.
Yeah,
Brewers Nation, we lost Yelich. And when it comes to the postseason, shit. And I know Churio has turned it on. I know.
yeah. But like,
And that lineup is good. It is good. It's just like if Freddie Peralta was an ace of ace, okay, I'm starting to buy in. But like maybe Colin Ray does just dominate. The bullpen is unbelievable. Like I felt really bad about leaving the Brewers off, even with their deficiencies. And remember, we all remember the Brewers days where they would have good regular seasons, then they'd bow out in the postseason. This is not the same Brewers. But you know who led that staff? Corbin Burns. This is not those Brewers. Like William Contreras was not on those Brewers. Bryce Terang wasn't leading off for those Brewers. Jackson Chourio wasn't running around the outfield making incredible catches and hitting home runs 449 feet for those Brewers.
yeah.
It's a different team. Reese Hoskins was hitting clutch home runs for the Phillies. He's not on those Brewers teams. So don't have old memories of the Brewers blowing it impact your decision of the current Brewers, in my opinion. I'm seeing Tobias Myers regress, which I think is big for this Brewers rotation. And Brewers Nation, don't come after me. I've been a Tobias Myers guy the whole time. I'm just telling you what I see. Colin Ray, we'll see. Big games, like I need just a little bit more security from the rotation to put them in the top 10. And then the Twins just missed. Losing Joe Ryan, losing Brock Stewart, which is a bigger loss than people are making it out to be. Jorge Alcala regressing, so now the bullpen isn't quite as deep. Don't love that the offense is so good and they're going to get Correa back, but they're just on the outside looking in.
Notice what you just did with the Brewers.
I looked at their starting rotation. I know. But
Look
it's
in the
like,
mirror.
no, I
Look in the
know.
mirror. The Brewers rotation of all teams.
I understand. I'm just saying that I
It's
can
real. It's
I can
real.
hedge that if they had Yelich.
Yeah,
Right? That's what I'm
I
saying.
know.
Like I can
It's
hedge that with Yelich.
all I'm saying is you probably see where I'm coming from a little bit more now. Because
Like,
we're not talking about winning the division. We're talking about winning the whole damn thing.
yeah, now I do, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like they're going to be a below 500 team and they're not good
No,
versus their
I
10 games
never
up.
once said
No,
that.
you said they would go 0 and 162 and you hate the city of Milwaukee. You said that on this
I
podcast.
I'm already paying rent in in Milwaukee proper. I'm already paying rent in a suburb. I love that place. I would love to have them in my top 10.
No, you're right. Um the
So,
the starting rotation is a little bit scary. But
yeah,
yeah, those are our top 10 World Series teams.
walking through my top 10 again. The Phillies at 1, the Dodgers at 2, Arizona at 3, Astros 4th, the Yankees 5th, the Padres 6th, Orioles 7, 8 is Kansas City, Atlanta is 9, and Cleveland is 10.
For me, my top 10 teams that I think can win the World Series this year at 1, the Dodgers, 2, the Padres, 3, the Diamondbacks, 4, the Phillies, 5, the Astros, 6, Yankees, 7, Braves, 8, Guardians, 9, Orioles, 10, Royals.
There we go. We've already kept you an hour 14, but I do want to do hitters of the week and games of the weekend real quick because they're very fun. Hitters
Yeah.
of the week.
Instead of you guessing, why don't I just go through them? So at number 5, unless you want to guess. Do you want to guess? You have fun guessing?
I do have fun guessing. Can
Go
you
ahead.
give me the division? That should probably speed things up.
Yes. So 5, we got an NL Central catcher.
NL Central catcher that has been balling out. Is it Wild Bill? Is
Who's
it William
Wild Bill?
Contreras?
Oh, that's what they call him, Wild Bill?
Yeah.
Or is that just what your nickname is for him? Did they
No,
call him?
I think that's what they call him.
Oh, I didn't even know that. No, it's Tyler Stevenson of the Reds.
Huh.
So past week, Tyler Stevenson is slashing 455, 556, 727 for a 244 WRC plus. Nuts. All right, number 4, National League Central outfielder,
NL Central outfielder that has been going nuts. Yeah, they do
center
call him
fielder.
Wild Bill. I didn't make that up. Center fielder, NL Central. It's not PCA. No way.
It's
No way.
PCA. It's PCA in the last week. 2 bombs, 3 steals, 448, 543, 724 for a 249 WRC plus. Has racked up .9 F4 in 8 games.
Look at PCA, man.
Number 3, American League Central, like a DH outfielder, lefty swinging bat.
DH outfield lefty bat in the American League Central that isn't Gavin Sheets. Huh.
It's Gavin Sheets. No,
Yeah. It's Andrew Vaughn after getting that home run robbed. AL Central lefty outfield DH. Huh.
it's a tough one. Matt Wallner.
Oh yeah, because Wallner had a multi-homer day, right?
Yeah, he slashed 360, 467, 840 for a 258 WRC plus, 3 jacks. Number 2, we're going back to the National League Central, and we're going back to an outfielder.
NL Central.
Yep.
You said outfielder?
Yep.
NL Central outfielder. Scanning. Not Milwaukee.
Nope.
No, not Milwaukee, not Chicago, not
Think,
St. Louis.
think PCA's teammate.
PCA's teammate. Seiya.
Seiya Suzuki. Last
Yeah.
week, 457, 525, 829 for a 269 WRC plus. And number 1, so Seiya's at 269, comes in at number 2. Number 1 put up a 325 WRC plus.
Yeah. So it's either Jordan or Otani.
It's neither. It's Judge.
Whoa. I think he's been like every single week except like 4 of them.
It's
the hitter of
legitimately
the
every week. It's
Every
every
week.
week since May. He's at the top every
He's
week.
at the tippy top. It's Judge.
In his last 8 games, he's hit 6 home runs.
Oh,
He's hitting 360. He has a 20.6% walk rate this week, 8.8% K rate.
he's unbelievable. Unfreaking believable.
He's slugging 1120. Slugging 1120. Not OPS, which would be the best OPS in baseball.
Yeah.
Slugging 1120.
What? So where are Jordan and Otani on this?
Otani is number 10, so he's
Okay.
right there. Jordan, the thing, did it factor in? It had to have factored in.
It had to factor in the 3-homer game.
It did, but I don't see him.
We're 24 hours removed from it.
I know. I don't understand why he's not on here.
So silly. So silly.
He's not. But
All right.
also rounding out the top 10, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. of the D-backs, Trevor Larnach of the Twins, Jaron Duran of the Red Sox, Salvador Perez of the Royals, Shohei Ohtani of the Dodgers.
Okay. Fair. Let's wrap it up with games of the weekend here as we are going to get you in under, I think, an hour 20. Games of the weekend. Let's start today. This is a hell of a matchup. In Philly at 640, Reynaldo Lopez against Ranger Suarez. Who do you got and why?
Oh. Is it in Philly?
It's in Philly.
Ranger and the Phillies.
Okay.
Braves are hot. No, but Lopez is so unbelievable at home, but on the road he struggles a little bit. I will go with the Phillies, but not convincingly.
Okay. Friday in Houston at 8:10. Seth Lugo, Framber Valdez.
Oh, Astros.
Easy.
Not easy, but like came to me quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Royals are so great, obviously, but like,
right.
I'm tailing Framber at home.
Okay. This one, Friday night, 8:10 in Minnesota. Hot Blue Jays team. Kevin Gausman against Pablo Lopez.
Oh, great game. I will
Great game.
go with the good game. I'll go with the Twins, but it's about a 1 out of 10 confidence level.
Okay. Fair. I can hear you on that. How about Cubs Nats on Saturday at 4:05? Javier Assad, DJ Hers. Kind of intriguing.
Nats. Javier
Nats.
Assad is.
He's got a 315.
See.
It's the Central New York area code. 6:10 in Detroit on Saturday. Nick Pivetta against Tarek Skubal. Red Sox are swinging it. Team OPS over 800 since the break.
Yeah, have fun with Skubal, Tigers.
Okay, fair.
He's as good as anybody. Yeah, Skubal.
Yeah.
Tigers.
7:10 on Saturday in Houston. Cole Reagans, Yusei Kikuchi.
Ooh. Royals take that one.
Okay. 7:10 in Minnesota. Jose Barrios, Zebby Matthews.
Jose Barrios facing his former team. I wonder if they have good numbers against him.
Not sure.
I like Zebby Matthews. I'm going with the Twins.
Okay. Freed and Wheeler at 7:15 in Philly.
So good. Oh, what a
So
game.
good.
It's just
Stupid
in the
good.
bank. This just happened, I think. Like this exact matchup just happened. I'll say the Phillies. Again, 0 confidence level.
One of the late games on Saturday, 8:10 in Arizona. Gavin Stone against Merrill Kelly.
I think the D-backs give the Dodgers trouble in this series.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with don't the Dodgers own Kelly or Kelly owns the Dodgers? There's something there. One of them owns the other. I'd have to check into it.
I think the Dodgers might own Kelly.
It might be that. So if it is that, Dodgers. If we go back and it's like, oh no, Merrill Kelly actually owns the Dodgers, D-backs. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Fair. How about Padres Rays at 1:40 on Sunday? Dylan Cease, Ryan
Padres.
Pepio.
Don't care. Padres.
Padres.
Dude,
Don't
the
care.
Rays suck. It's so annoying. God, it just took my money. Damn it.
2 more games on Sunday. 4:10, the Roku game. 4:10 on Sunday. Dodgers D-backs in Arizona. Brandon Pfaadt, Jack Flaherty.
Dodgers. D-backs. I hate it. I don't know. It's so hard. I don't know.
Last but not least, Sunday Night Baseball in Philly. Spencer Schwellenbach against Aaron Nola.
Give me Schwellenbach. The Braves.
Wow.
They win. Yep.
Schwelly. That's what we got.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of the Just Baseball Show. And remember, the best way to support is to rate and review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and leaving a written review would be greatly appreciated. I don't think I got to recommend you guys leaving any comments based on our analysis on YouTube. I'm sure the comment section is already full with people tearing me apart. Probably love Jack's opinions. They're soft. They're easy.
Yeah,
No,
they're stock. I like the term stock. They're very stock.
You weren't soft after Dodgers Phillies. Then you actually got into yours. I just made fun of you for those front two.
I appreciate that.
When I think more people would actually agree with you than me. But you can let us know in the comments section below. Whose list do you more identify with? Do you think both of us are smoking something disgusting? I don't know. Let us know in the YouTube comments and hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Go get yourself some Just Baseball merch. I'm rocking my Just Baseball hat. Jack's rocking nothing because he hates the company. At least he's got a Just Baseball mic in his hand. Don't be like Jack. Go get yours.
I have
in
the
the
floral
episode.
shirt that you made fun of me in Florida for over spring training. You were like, "Oh, look at this dad out on the town."
No, that shirt looks like you Googled what should I wear in Florida and bought the first thing that Target was selling.
You're such an ass. My girlfriend got this for me from Abercrombie for my birthday.
Well, you know what? No, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. What's Kevin Garnett is speaking to the late great remember he tells
Craig
him
Sager.
Craig Sager, he tells him just burn.
Yeah, you take it, you burn it.
You take it, you
take
burn
this
it.
home and you burn it.
Kevin Garnett didn't feel bad then. I don't feel bad now.
Whatever, man.
So what else do we have to say? That we'll be back on Monday, and
I
we
think
love
so.
you all. So for Jack and Will, I am Peter Apple. And with that, thank you, everybody.